Greetings, comrades. This is your brother Jamala, also known as Brother Soldier 4D. Once again, we're visiting. We have another topic for you today. And remember, the whole purpose of Panafricentric Ministries is not only to discuss the struggle that we have as Black Africans, but also the greater hope that we have in a life after this life. So I'm not meaning to impose on anybody that doesn't believe that and impose on my listeners that are curious, that are speculating whether God exists or whether God does not exist, or that believes in a supreme being and you're not sure who that is supposed to be identified as. But on this platform, you're welcome. You're welcome to sit in. You're welcome to listen in. A lot of times I'll say that I'm catering the message toward a believer or toward the children of faith, those who tend to want to follow a more divine path in this natural life, but at the same time see the importance of identifying with their Africanness and identifying with their heritage and identifying with the continent of Africa. This is the station that you need to be tuned into. And though I do not profess to be Muslim, and I do not profess to be any other faith, but to try to have the spirit of Christ in me as an African man, or a man that understands who I am and what my history is about. I don't get into the idiosyncrasies of the identifying with a particular faith that has to do with Hebrew Israelite or what you call more science, even though I talk to my brothers and I see what they're trying to promote and I see what they're trying to convey in their messages. I just want to say that that's another platform that we can also visit and hear what these brothers have to say, but you can also visit this platform and hear what this brother has to say. And I try to guide myself as I feel like I'm led, as much as possible by the voice of God that's still inside of me, that's quiet, and that's that still small voice. I try to listen to see if I can bring a good message to the table, and we can all break bread, and maybe we can come to some solutions. But the one thing that I do know is that we do have a common struggle, and we do have a common enemy, and we do have a common purpose, and that is to liberate our people, whether it's in the natural or in the spiritual. So in that sense, maybe you can't follow me spiritually, but you can probably follow me in the natural. Fine. There's some brothers that I can follow in the natural. I cannot follow in the spiritual. For instance, Marcus Garvey here. Good message. Africa for the Africans, and some of the things that he's wrote, Message to the People. I can get with Garvey on that because he has a national message for common man, a national message. It has its spiritual insights, but it's a national message for the Christian believer. Many times in the Christian faith, we have a message of the kingdom of God, but there's no real national message about which direction we should go as a people when we're faced with adversity, oppression, colonization, slavery. So a national message is kind of like what Moses' ministry did. Moses' ministry and possibly Joseph's. Their message was to the people of faith, but it also was a message about national direction. And in many instances, there are cases in the Bible where there are messages for national liberation. So I try to bring that good message of faith in with the principles of Christ, but at the same time, having a national message within it. So some ministers say that you can't do that, it's all spiritual. I disagree with them. I've been in this church 40 something years. I never have been, even as a 16-year-old teenager, I never could understand that. Never could understand how it could be all spiritual and they not help you with the natural needs. And backing off of that, I would just say that in the Baptist church, back in the times when the SCLC was on the move, on the rise, that's the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and many of those other organizations, SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, that was headed by many of the young men like Stokely Carmichael and H. Rap Brown, those kind of movements were social movements that were politically motivated to uplift the oppressed. And so when I see these movements from the Baptist Church and from these different organizations, many others, it amazes me that in Pentecost and in the charismatic movement, I don't recall hardly any social movements coming out of the Pentecost and the charismatic movement because they feel like that the Spirit is the ultimate aim and goal, and that your aim should be entirely spiritual, the way they convey it, and that you shouldn't be worried about these earthly things. And I disagree with that. And it's not because I disagree. I don't see how you can be a believer and how you can say that you speak in tongues and that you know all these mysteries. But yet, if we turn the clocks back, you were fighting to drink on a water fountain to be equal with somebody that had a different race than yours. You were fighting to have a job where people who had another complexion were allowed to have the job, but you weren't allowed. Where we came from and the struggles that we have gone through, the Pentecostal and the charismatic movement has been very minimal in showing their presence and trying to change some of the social conditions that afflict our people, particularly the Black Africans, or the Black American, whatever you want to call it. And then on the continent, the Black African. Colonization, apartheid, all of these things were social and political oppressive circumstances that we had to find solutions to maneuver through. Even though we can hold the Bible and have our salvation, you may not be able to go over here because of your complexion. You may not be able to go over there. So these things are all encompass the human experience. And if the human experience is one way for the children of Israel, but another way for the children of Egypt, and the children of Egypt are living well, but the children of Israel are afflicted, then God has to make a way for those affliction and those people to help uplift them. So that's where social justice comes in. And that's where your ministers really need to be stepping up their part on maintaining that and pushing that. Even though we have the Bible that can help us, guide us in our spiritual walk, we also have national agendas that must be upheld as well. And so you can talk all you want about the shedding of the blood of Christ for the remission of sins and for the salvation of people. But the people that shed their blood in the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, going all the way back to the Middle Passage and the transatlantic slave trade, people that shed their blood trying to escape or trying to liberate, people that lost their lives trying to escape plantations, people who bled and fought and died, were the beginnings of the struggle that we as Africans, descendants of slaves and descendants of colonized Africans, reap the benefit of what these people have bled, fought, and died for. And you know, Stokely Carmichael made a statement that said, when you say that you made it on your own, and you say that you pulled yourself up by your own bootstraps, and you say that you have achieved wealth, you have achieved education, you have achieved employment, and any of the other benefits that come in a natural life that were once restricted to slave descendants and colonized people, and you say that you did it on your own, you betray the shedding of the blood of the masses of our people. You betray them, because without the struggle and the bleeding that they had done, you wouldn't have been able to walk through these doors of these different places that you call your employment. You call being able to drink on this water fountain, sit on this toilet, or being able to walk and start this business. Talking about I'm an independent man, and you are an independent woman, don't need anybody. The only reason that you're able to do some of the things you do today, I do today, is because of the shedding of the blood of the masses of our people from back then. Yes, Christ shed his blood on Calvary for the sins and the sin of mankind. But your people who bled is one of the reasons why you also are here in the natural and able to do some of the things that you're able to do. And you're going to find out there's more shedding blood down the road, because when they keep turning these clocks back, people have to rise up to the occasion to also be sacrificial in order for the next generations to make it. And it's pitiful we have to do that, but when you're dealing with man and his wicked ways, you'll find yourself having to go back to having to bleed to get what you need. You can pray all you want. You can pray. Some things may come about with fasting and prayer, but not all things. Some things are going to come by the shedding of the blood of the masses of our people. So I don't want you to forget that. And as Stokely Carmichael, or which is also known as Kwame Ture, passed that word down to me and us, I pass it to the next generations. When you say that you have a problem with Africa, you say that you have a problem with other blacks and black Africans, and you are walking around in this same kind of skin, and you say that, and you think that you're separate from that, you betray the shedding of the blood of the masses of your people. The reason why you can do what you do today is because of what they did yesterday. Don't forget it. So what was my message today? My message today is, don't betray the shedding of the blood of the masses of our people. Always count your blessing that God put it in those people to lay their life down, to lay down what they wanted to do, sacrifice for you and me to be able to sit here even today speaking to you on YouTube because of what people have done ahead of me. And I thank God Almighty for putting those people out there and putting it in their heart to do what they did. Now, again, the shedding of the blood of the masses of your people do not betray. When you speak against Africa, you speak against the people of Africa. When Africa speaks against the slave descendants, you're speaking against Malcolm, you're speaking against Garvey, you're speaking against Dr. King, you're speaking against Medgar Evers, you're speaking against Adam Clayton Powell, you're speaking against Kwame Nkrumah. These brothers made some sacrifices. They may not have been to your 100% agreement, but they made some sacrifices. They could have just played Uncle Tom and stayed up on the ranch, tap-toed and buck danced and left you out there. But they laid their life down, so that's you give them credit for that. So I'm going to close here, and then I'm going to open back up with a specific topic. Peace, love, God bless.